Have you ever thought about geopolitics like a giant real estate deal? It sounds kind of weird, right? But for centuries, one of the most powerful tools a nation had wasn't its army, it was its checkbook. So today we're going to dive into this absolutely fascinating history of countries buying and selling huge chunks of the planet.
I mean, it seems almost absurd today, doesn't it? The idea of just making an offer on a piece of another nation. But believe it or not, this was a totally legitimate and surprisingly common way for borders to be redrawn and for empires to be built, all without ever firing a single shot.
And yeah, there's actually a formal name for this: cession. Now, the key phrase here is with the consent of both countries. This isn't conquest or a hostile takeover. No, this is a deal. It's a legal, peaceful agreement that can literally change the map of the world.
Okay, so to really get a feel for how this worked in practice, we have to talk about the most famous example of all time, the Louisiana Purchase. It's an incredible story that starts with a pretty simple, practical problem and ends with a result that would define a continent.
So, the stage was set by a whole series of high-stakes events. First, you've got Spain choking off America's main economic artery, the Mississippi River, by closing the port of New Orleans. Then, in a secret backroom deal, the entire territory flips from Spain to Napoleon's France. President Jefferson, seeing this huge danger, sends his diplomats with one very specific mission: buy that port city. But Napoleon, well, he was in a tough spot. He just lost his most valuable colony after the successful Haitian Revolution and was desperate for cash to fund his wars in Europe. He saw a totally different kind of opportunity.
This was Jefferson's absolute maximum budget. His guys, Robert Livingston and James Monroe, had authorization to spend up to $10 million. The entire mission was to buy New Orleans and, maybe a little slice of the land around it. That was it.
But then Napoleon's finance minister comes back with an offer that is just mind-blowing. He basically says, forget just a city, how about the entire Louisiana territory for just $5 million more? $15 million for what was practically a subcontinent.
And this number, 820,000, this really puts the sheer scale of the deal into perspective. The United States got over 820,000 square miles of land. We're talking an area stretching from the Mississippi all the way to the Rocky Mountains. It literally doubled the size of the country, just overnight.
So here's the really critical part of the story. The American diplomats were completely on their own. They were an ocean away from their boss, no emails, no phone calls. They had a budget of $10 million for one city, and they've just been offered a massive territory for 15. They had to make a gut call. And recognizing an unbelievable, once-in-a-lifetime bargain, they seized the moment and just said yes.
I mean, the difference between the original mission and what actually happened is just staggering. They went shopping for a new front door and came home with a whole new wing of the house. This single deal fundamentally changed the destiny of the United States forever.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Back home, President Jefferson was facing this huge political and philosophical crisis. See, he built his entire career on the idea of a small, limited federal government. And here he was, overseeing the single biggest expansion of federal power in the nation's young history. It was a classic case of your principles running smack into a pragmatic, can't-miss opportunity.
Okay, so the Louisiana Purchase was a massive game changer, but it wasn't a one-off deal, not by a long shot. Turns out, for over a century, countries getting out their checkbooks to expand their borders was a surprisingly normal part of international politics. You can see the US kept at it, buying Florida from Spain to lock down its southeastern border. And other deals here, like Alaska and the Danish West Indies, have their own wild stories. But hey, this wasn't just an American habit. In 1958, Pakistan bought the strategic port of Gwadar from Oman to secure a key naval outpost. And even way after World War II, West Germany paid the Netherlands to get back a few tiny border territories, kind of closing a final chapter of the war.
But not every one of these deals was seen as a brilliant move at the time. When Secretary of State William Seward bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million, the press had a field day. They called it Seward's Folly, just mocking the purchase of this vast, frozen wasteland. Everyone thought it was a colossal waste of money.
But then, this year rolls around, 1896. Gold. Gold is discovered in the Yukon, kicking off the Klondike Gold Rush. All of a sudden, Seward's Folly looked like one of the smartest bargains in history, and Alaska became the gateway to unimaginable wealth.
And these deals weren't always about economics or resources.
In 1916, right in the middle of World War I, the US bought the Danish West Indies. And why? Pure strategy. The Navy was terrified that Germany would grab the islands and use their amazing harbors as a U-boat base to wreck shipping in the Atlantic. This was a preemptive move in a global chess game.
So, this all brings us to the big puzzle, right? If this was such a powerful and effective tool for centuries, where did it go? Why don't countries just buy territory from each other anymore? It really does seem to be a lost art.
Well, the world just changed. For one thing, modern nationalism, cranked up to 11 by mass media, has turned borders into these sacred lines on a map. A leader today who even thought about selling off a piece of the country would probably be seen as a traitor. Plus, the whole era of outright conquest has faded, so that motivation to sell it before an enemy just takes it is pretty much gone. And really, it all points to a deeper shift. The world just doesn't value physical land the way it used to. It's more about economic influence, national identity, and soft power now.
And this really hammers the point home. The last time a deal like this happened between Western nations was all the way back in 1963. For more than half a century, this tool has just been left in the diplomatic shed, gathering dust.
Which leaves us with one final, really fascinating question. In a world that's just full of bitter border disputes and these frozen conflicts, is it possible that this old, forgotten idea could ever be brought back? Could a simple creative sale ever be the key to peace where every other method has failed? It's definitely something to think about.